The Legend of Jigong, Chapter 104.
Such a fascinating text.
It really is. Our mission is to dissect one singular, deeply chaotic day in the Changshan County Magistrates Court.
Just one day.
Just one day. But there's so much packed into it. We want to look under the hood of this literary world to understand the mechanics of corruption, how do marginalized people navigate these rigged institutions.
And why the rules of this society are so broken that they practically demand, they demand supernatural intervention just to function.
Yeah. The author provides us with this brilliant microcosm. We're not just looking at a simple courtroom drama here.
No, we're examining an entire sociology of power. The text shows us exactly how the state monopolizes truth.
How medical authority can become a tool for oppression, right?
Absolutely. And how individuals are forced to use their own physical bodies, like literally their bodies, as the ultimate canvas for proving their innocence when their voices are systematically silenced.
It's incredibly heavy stuff. So let's lay out the powder keg sitting in the middle of this courtroom. We have two men, Ming and Chen Liang.
Our protagonists, essentially.
Right. They have been hauled before the local magistrate, and they stand accused of two massive crimes. First, carrying on an illicit affair with a local widow named Sun Kangxi, and second, violently assaulting her brother-in-law, a man named Sun Erhu.
But we, as the audience reading the text, know this is entirely fake.
We do. We know it is a masterfully malicious frame job engineered by Sun Erhu himself.
It's a complete setup. And to understand the mechanics of this frame job, we really have to look at the inciting incident.
Which is the teacup incident.
Yes. The night before this trial, Sun Erhu deliberately smashes that teacup against his own head.
Just bam.
Just bam. He creates this massive bloody gash. And then, at the crack of dawn, with the blood literally still crusting on his face, he sprints to the local government office, the Yamen.
Court, basically.
Right. And he claims he caught these two men sleeping with his widowed sister-in-law, and that they slashed him with a teacup to facilitate their escape.
I mean, I just struggle to buy Sun Erhu's strategy here on a practical level.
How so?
Well, smashing your own head open to frame two random strangers seems incredibly risky, not to mention agonizing.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, was this type of self-mutilation a common legal stratagem back then? Or is this just a literary exaggeration designed to make this guy look exceptionally unhinged?
That is a great question. It is an extreme action, sure, but it relies on a very real historical legal mechanism.
Really?
Yeah. So in the bureaucratic structure of the dynasties, which is the era this literature reflects and was written during local magistrates were chronically overworked.
I can imagine.
I mean, they governed hundreds of thousands of people sometimes. If Sun Erhu simply walks in and verbally claims, hey, two guys assaulted me.
He just gets put at the bottom of the pile.
Exactly. He might be ignored entirely, or his case might be buried under months of paperwork.
So the blood forces the issue.
Precisely. Visible, severe physical trauma activates a mandatory bureaucratic response.
It's almost like modern-day swatting or staging one of those viral videos for a false insurance claim. You're using the authorities as a weapon against your enemies.
That's a perfect analogy. The system is designed to react to crisis, not nuance. So Sun Erhu basically hacks the legal code.
Wow.
By presenting a fresh, bleeding wound, he forces the magistrate to issue an immediate warrant. He leverages the state's machinery to do his dirty work.
And the underlying motivation is vital here, right? Because Sun Erhu isn't just attacking random strangers for no reason.
Not at all. Ming and Chen Liang actually foiled Sun Erhu's plot to murder his own sister-in-law the night before.
Right, so he is covering his tracks and exacting revenge simultaneously.
Two birds, one bloody teacup.
Yeah, exactly. He is cornering the magistrate through pure procedure. But the psychological warfare goes even deeper with the specific accusation he chooses.
Oh, the affair.
Yeah. He doesn't just accuse them of assault. He accuses them of having an affair with a widow. Let's dig into the social mechanics of that. Why is that specific accusation so incredibly potent in this setting?
Well, in this historical context, widowhood wasn't just a relationship status like it is for you or me today. It was a highly regulated state of being.
Regulated by the government.
Yes. The cult of female chastity was heavily institutionalized. I mean, families were actually granted state rewards, tax exemptions, even massive stone commemorative arches if a widow remained chaste and never remarried.
Wait, really? Tax exemptions for not remarrying?
Yep, it brought immense honor and financial benefit to the extended family. But conversely, any hint, even a rumor of sexual impropriety, would entirely obliterate her social standing.
It's an all-or-nothing game.
Completely. It would bring profound shame upon her family, and legally it put her in a very dangerous position.
So Sun Erhu weaponizes that societal
He
bias.
knows exactly what he's doing.
He knows that the moment he introduces the concept of an unchaste widow into the narrative, the magistrate's prejudice will just take over.
Right. The widow instantly goes from being a potential victim of Sun Erhu's murder plot to a prime suspect in a moral crime.
Her credibility vanishes before she even steps foot in the room.
Exactly. Sun Erhu combines a moral panic with physical evidence of violence, boxing the magistrate into a corner.
Which leaves Ming and Chen Liang standing in this incredibly intimidating space, trying to defend themselves against a perfectly constructed trap.
It's a nightmare scenario.
And the way Chen Liang constructs his defense is fascinating to me because he relies entirely on logic.
He does.
He stands before the magistrate and explains their actual timeline. He states they are from Zhenjiang Prefecture. They only arrived at the local lane yesterday. He establishes their background as former escort guards, noting their skills as martial artists capable of scaling walls.
And that detail about their martial arts background is crucial for the listener to understand,
Why is that?
because they are practitioners of the Dizia tradition.
Okay, what does that mean?
Think of them as wandering swordsmen or martial heroes. They operate on a strict moral code, often outside the boundaries of state law. They see themselves as dispensers of natural justice.
Oh, like a Robin Hood figure.
Kind of. Or a wandering knight.
Got it. So Chen Liang leverages that identity in his defense. He explains they were cooling off in the courtyard, heard a cry of murder from over the wall, and acting on their heroic instincts, jumped the wall, assuming it was a robbery.
Which is perfectly in character for Xisia hero.
Right. But instead, they found Sun Erhu trying to hack the widow to death. They intervened, saved her, and kicked him out.
Yeah.
So Chen Liang appeals to the magistrate's sense of reason. He points out the absurdity of the timeline, like, how could two men who arrived in town yesterday be carrying on a long-term illicit affair with a local widow?
He is playing the civilian court game perfectly here.
It's a very solid defense.
It is. He establishes a verifiable alibi, he deconstructs the prosecution's timeline, and highlights the logistical impossibilities of the accusation.
But Chen Liang's most effective rhetorical move is putting the burden of proof back on the accuser.
Yes, he challenges the magistrate directly.
He basically says, if you doubt our story, bring the widow here and ask her yourself.
Which is logical.
Right. And that challenge initiates the next phase of this courtroom nightmare. The text shifts focus to Widow Sun's residence, where the official court runners arrive to summon her.
And her reaction defies typical expectations.
Completely. Her servant is trying to comfort her, assuming she will be terrified of the state's reach. No one wants to be dragged into court.
Right.
But when she learns the summons is due to Sun Erhu suing her, she is actually relieved. She wants to go to the Yamen.
Because she was already planning to sue him.
Exactly.
Her relief highlights this total lack of recourse available to her outside the state apparatus.
What do you mean by that?
Well, for a marginalized individual like a widow in this society, the legal system, despite all its inherent dangers and biases, is sometimes literally the only venue available to reclaim any semblance of safety.
Oh, I see. Because she can't just fight him off physically.
Exactly. She views this summons not as a trap, but as an opportunity to set the record straight on her own terms.
So she makes her way to the court. And the moment she arrives, the magistrate engages in a practice the text calls listening to sounds, observing faces.
This is a classic trope.
He takes one look at her pale, sallow complexion and deduces she is a widow, which she confirms. He plays the role of the astute, observant detective.
He really fancies himself a genius.
He does. But I was struck by what he focuses on next, because we have a literal murder and assault trial happening, right? Sun Erhu has a bleeding head, two martial artists are accused of violence, and the magistrate pauses everything to ask Widow Sun if her swollen belly is the result of an illness or a pregnancy.
It's a jarring shift.
It is. What is the legal mechanism happening here that makes her abdominal swelling more important than the violent crime they're supposed to be adjudicating?
The magistrate is looking for a cognitive shortcut.
A shortcut.
Yeah. In a bureaucracy where truth is difficult to ascertain, morality becomes a proxy for legality. If the magistrate can prove she is pregnant, he proves she is unchaste. And if she is unchaste, she is fundamentally untrustworthy according to the societal norms we just discussed.
Oh, wow. So he assumes her moral failure validates the rest of Sun Erhu's fabricated timeline.
Exactly. If she is pregnant, then the illicit affair is real. If the affair is real, then Ming and Chen are likely the lovers.
The dominoes just fall.
Right. And if they are the lovers, Sun Erhu's claim of catching them and being assaulted in the process becomes entirely plausible.
That is wild.
The magistrate just abandons the investigation of the assault completely. He believes the biological reality of her body will act as an infallible lie detector.
So he tells her that if she confesses the truth about being pregnant, he will show leniency.
But she adamantly insists her swelling is a chronic illness.
Which prompts the magistrate to call in the official court doctor.
Yes.
The doctor.
And the author describes this physician as a 2.5-eyed doctor.
I love that phrase.
It is a brilliant colloquialism. It basically means a spectacular incompetent, a total quack.
Yes.
So this guy strides into the courtroom, takes her pulse, and with absolute unchallenged authority declares she has a joyful pulse. He legally diagnoses her as pregnant.
Based on a pulse reading.
Right. Let's dissect the epistemology of this moment. The state has effectively monopolized the truth through this one medical professional. The doctor doesn't offer a nuanced opinion like, it could be this or that.
No, he hands down a verdict.
He really does.
The author is wielding razor-sharp satire here against state-sanctioned expertise.
How so?
Well, in traditional Chinese medicine, pulse diagnosis is an incredibly nuanced, highly respected art. It requires decades of study to master.
Right, it's not just counting heartbeats. Exactly. You are feeling for depth, speed, strength, all these different qualities. But in the hands of a corrupt or incompetent state official, it just becomes a weapon.
Because no one can question him.
Exactly. The doctor operates under this lethal arrogance that his title shields him from error. When Widow Sun spits on him.
Which she does.
She does. She curses him for speaking nonsense, and he doesn't re-examine his findings. He doubles down. He states essentially, I say it is a fetus, therefore it must be a fetus.
He protects his professional ego at the expense of a woman's life.
Yes.
He would rather condemn an innocent widow to total social destruction and potential execution than admit to the magistrate that his pulse reading skills are flawed.
The institutional arrogance is staggering.
It really is. And this false diagnosis completely radicalizes the environment in the courtroom.
Oh, it throws a match on the powder keg.
The magistrate is now thoroughly convinced Widow Sun is lying. So he pivots back to the martial artists. He demands to know why they intervened in the affairs of strangers in the middle of the night if they weren't involved with the woman.
And this is where Ming speaks up.
Right, Ming, the more volatile of the two heroes. He gives an answer that encapsulates his entire worldview. He says, seeing death, how can one not save?
It is a beautiful distillation of his moral compass.
It really is. It's so heroic.
But, and this is the tragic part, it is a moral compass that the state literally cannot comprehend.
Why not?
Because bureaucracy operates on self-interest. It operates on procedure and documented relationships.
Right.
The idea of spontaneous, altruistic intervention by heavily armed strangers. That is deeply suspicious to a magistrate whose entire career is built on managing human selfishness.
That makes a lot of sense. The magistrate just dismisses Ming's heroism because the quack doctor has thoroughly poisoned the well.
Exactly.
And this brings us to one of the most jarring moments in the narrative.
It's incredibly intense.
The Widow Sun realizes that logic has failed. The truth has been inverted. The state-sanctioned medical authority has just signed her death warrant. And in a moment of sheer desperation, she screams that she wishes she had a knife to slice her own belly open, right there on the courtroom floor, just to physically prove to the judge that it contains an illness and not a child.
It's horrifying.
It is. And we shouldn't just call this a dark or dramatic literary flourish. We have to treat this as a sociological data point.
Absolutely.
Like, what does it mean when the physical body becomes the only space a marginalized person can use to reclaim agency within a legal framework?
It reveals a profound systemic failure.
Unpack that a bit.
When a system systematically discounts the testimony of women, when her voice has zero legal currency against the word of a male doctor or an abusive male relative, her living self ceases to matter.
Wow. Her living self ceases to matter.
Yes, this trope of extreme self-mutilation to prove purity, it appears frequently in classical Chinese narratives. It is a searing critique of a society where a woman's corpse is considered a more reliable witness to her character than her living voice.
That is so bleak.
She is offering to destroy herself because she believes only the visceral, undeniable biology of her internal organs can override the institutional lie.
And then Ming makes the situation exponentially more volatile.
Oh, he really does.
Operating entirely on his martial arts honor code, he draws his own blade and throws it onto the courtroom floor in front of her.
A terrible idea.
He tells her, if you have the guts, open yourself up. If it's illness, someone will avenge you. If it's a fetus, then you know who you slept with.
It's just...
I look at this through a modern lens, and it is analogous to a defense attorney trying to prove a hostile witness is unstable by sliding a loaded, unregistered handgun across the witness stand and saying, go ahead, pull the trigger.
That's exactly what it's like.
It is a catastrophic misjudgment of the venue. Ming thinks he's facilitating this noble display of ultimate truth.
But he fundamentally misunderstands the physics of power in a civilian court.
How so?
Well, in the Greenwood, the outlaw spaces where martial artists usually operate truth, is often settled through physical courage and steel.
Right, trial by combat, essentially.
Yeah. But in a yamen, the monopoly on violence belongs exclusively to the state. Drawing a weapon in the presence of a magistrate is not a philosophical gesture.
It is threat.
It is an act of armed rebellion. It is treason.
And Widow's son actually lunges for the knife. She tries to grab it to disembowel herself before a court runner manages to wrestle it away.
The chaos in that room must have been absolute.
Oh, I can't even imagine. The magistrate is apoplectic. He is ready to unleash the full, brutal force of the state on Ming for drawing a weapon.
Naturally.
But right at the crescendo of his fury, the narrative pivots on a tiny, almost invisible mechanic of the bureaucratic system.
The bamboo slip.
Let's walk through the physical mechanics of this court. The magistrate slams down his shock block, which functions similarly to a judge's gavel, to command absolute silence and terror.
Right.
He then reaches into a holder to draw a bamboo slip. How does this system of slips actually translate to corporal punishment?
I think for us it's hard to visualize. Sure. So the bamboo slips were tokens of immediate executive power. When a magistrate drew a slip and tossed it onto the floor, it was an irrevocable command to the court runners.
Like, do it now.
Exactly. And depending on the color or the markings on the slip, it dictated the severity of the beating to be administered immediately in open court.
Oh, wow. Right then and there.
Right there. It bypassed any further deliberation. So the magistrate is reaching for the slip to have Ming brutally beaten for his insolence.
But as he pulls the slip, he notices a mysterious paper packet attached to it.
Ah, the secret note?
Yes. He opens it, reads the note inside, and the blood literally drains from his face.
The tension is incredible.
The note informs him that Ming and Chen Liang are not just random guards. They are evil thieves connected to Greenwood outlaws, and they recently staged a massive prison break to free a relative named Yunfeng.
A huge revelation.
Now, the text leaves the origin of this note ambiguous, acting almost as a hand of fate. But the effect it has on the magistrate is immediate and transformative.
He does the math.
He really does. He calculates the martial capability of his own court runners against two men now identified as hardened, prison-breaking terrorists, and realizes he is entirely outgunned.
He's sitting in a room with two deadly assassins, basically.
Let's look at the mechanics of the corruption that follows, because it is just staggering. The magistrate instantly drops his fury.
Flips on a dime.
He forces a warm smile, praises Ming for being a straightforward guy, and orders a banquet to be set up in a side room for the two accused men.
It's so jarring.
It is. How does a magistrate actually get away with this kind of whiplash behavior? He just orders a banquet for an armed man who threatened his court, and none of his staff question it. Like, where are the checks and balances in this county?
Well, the short answer is, in a rural county, there effectively were no immediate checks and balances.
None.
None. The magistrate was colloquially referred to as the father-mother official.
Father-mother official.
Yes, meaning he possessed executive, judicial, and legislative power all within his jurisdiction. He was the parent, everyone else was the child.
I see.
And the imperial center was incredibly far away. If the magistrate ordered a banquet, the runners set up a banquet, no questions asked.
That is terrifying.
It is. Furthermore, this sudden pivot is actually a recognized tactical maneuver.
Really?
Yeah, it is known as steadying the army.
Steadying the army.
Yes. When you face a superior force you cannot defeat in a frontal assault, you placate them. You offer food, flattery, and false security to render them docile while you quietly prepare a lethal trap.
Okay, so Chen Liang, the more analytical of our two heroes, he smells the trap immediately.
He's smart.
He warns Ming that magistrates do not buy dinner for men who draw swords in their courts. It just doesn't happen.
Common sense.
But Ming's impulsivity wins out. He's hungry, so he eats.
Typical Lizia hero behavior.
Right. But while they are distracted by the hospitality, the magistrate is operating in the shadows. He secretly dispatches runners to fetch two local enforcers, Zhu Rui and Luo Biao, who actually possess the martial arts prowess required to subdue our heroes.
He's bringing in the heavy hitters.
He is, but it is the magistrate's backup plan that truly reveals the rot at the core of this legal system.
This part is so grim.
It really is. He decides that even with the enforcers, he needs airtight judicial evidence to legally execute Ming and Chen Liang.
He needs to cover himself on paper.
Right. He remembers the name from the secret note, Yunfang. So he plans to go down into his own dungeons, pull out this condemned prisoner, and present Ming and Chen Liang to him.
Yeah.
The magistrate acknowledges to himself that Yunfang likely has absolutely no idea who these two men are.
Because they probably aren't even the same guys.
Exactly. But the magistrate plans to use him anyway, operating on a horrifying piece of bureaucratic cynicism.
Right.
He literally notes that a thief's bite goes deep into the bone.
It is a devastating indictment of how the state viewed the incarcerated.
Write that down for us.
The magistrate knows that a condemned man sitting in a dungeon is desperate.
Right. Yeah.
If the state implies that falsely implicating two strangers might buy the prisoner a slightly better meal,
Or
delay his execution by a few days,
he'll do it.
the prisoner will absolutely lie. The state is effectively sanctioning perjury to serve its own self-preservation.
Wow. The magistrate is manufacturing a false witness to ensure he can legally condemn men he perceives as a threat to his authority.
Yes,
I find the magistrate's behavior here to be the most terrifying element of the entire text.
I agree completely.
Because think about it. Sun Erhu is acting out of malice and revenge, right?
Yeah.
The quack doctor is acting out of ego.
Right.
But the magistrate,
Yeah.
he is acting out of cold, calculated, institutional self-preservation. In the span of an hour, he has completely abandoned Widow Sun's assault case.
He doesn't even care anymore.
He does not care if she lives or dies, or if her pregnancy diagnosis was faked. Justice is entirely irrelevant to him now.
The moment the machinery of the court is threatened, the only objective is neutralizing the threat by any means necessary.
Exactly.
The magistrate transforms the law from a tool of justice into a weapon of convenience.
A weapon of convenience.
Yeah, he uses the aesthetics of law, the banquet, the gathering of witnesses, the preparation of warrants, to construct an elaborate assassination plot against two men he simply fears.
And the trap is perfectly set. The enforcers are on their way, the false witness is waiting in the dungeon, and the magistrate is literally lifting his ink brush to sign the imprisonment warrant. The jaws of the state are about to snap shut.
The climax of the scene.
And then a voice outside the yamen shatters the tension, screaming, "Wronged!"
It's such a great dramatic moment.
But the person who bursts through the doors is not a new witness. It is not someone carrying forensic evidence to exonerate the widow.
No, it's not.
It is Jigong, the legendary, eccentric, meat-eating, wine-guzzling mad monk, and he is physically dragging a scholar into the middle of this high-stakes murder trial.
It's totally bizarre.
It is. This introduces a massive shift in the narrative. The text actually hits the brakes and initiates a flashback to explain how this chaotic monk ended up in the Changshan County Court at this exact second.
It feels like a detour, but it's crucial.
Let's unpack this flashback because, honestly, it seems so entirely disconnected from the courtroom drama.
Yeah, at first glance, it really does.
Earlier that day, Jigong is walking with two constables when a speeding sedan chair nearly runs them over, disappearing into a wealthy manor.
Right.
Jigong approaches the gate to ask for alms. A servant turns him away, explaining the household is consumed by a medical crisis. The patriarch's third daughter-in-law has been in labor for 3 days.
It is a catastrophic scenario in the context of pre-modern obstetrics.
3 days in labor.
Yes. The text explains that multiple midwives have been brought in, and they have all failed.
Oh, man.
The situation has degraded to the point where the midwives are having a grim, pragmatic debate with the family about whether they should attempt to save the mother by sacrificing the child or attempt to save the child at the cost of the mother's life.
What an impossible choice.
It's horrific.
And then Jigong, who is notoriously unkempt and erratic, he tells the servant he possesses a miraculous medicine capable of inducing labor and solving the crisis.
Right.
The servant's reaction is incredibly grounded. He looks at this filthy monk and asks, "Who invites a monk into a delivery room?"
The servant is enforcing strict societal taboos there.
Okay, tell us about those taboos.
So, The birthing chamber was an exclusively female space,
Right, obviously.
inviting a strange, male wandering monk into that intimate environment. It broke every single rule of gender segregation and ritual purity.
It was just not done.
It was socially unthinkable.
But the patriarch of the family overrides the servant.
He does.
Driven by absolute desperation, acting on the principle of turning to any doctor when critically ill, he breaks the social taboos and invites the mad monk inside.
Desperate times.
Yeah. And Jigong then proceeds to use his Buddhist magic to successfully deliver the child and save the mother.
A miracle.
It is. Now, on a narrative level, I have to ask, why interrupt this incredibly tense life-or-death courtroom drama with a seemingly unrelated side quest about a monk delivering a baby?
It's a fair question.
It feels like we took a detour into a completely different genre. It's like having an intense true crime courtroom drama suddenly interrupted by a mystical wizard offering gynecological advice.
It sounds absurd, but it's a deliberate and brilliant structural choice by the author.
Okay, lay it out for me.
Classical Chinese episodic literature often employs polyphony.
Polyphony?
Yeah, meaning they weave multiple, seemingly disparate narrative threads that eventually harmonize to reveal a larger thematic truth.
Okay, I'm tracking.
Consider the parallels the author is drawing here. In the courtroom, the official institutions of society are actively destroying innocent people.
Right. The state-sponsored magistrate is plotting a corrupt frame job.
Exactly. And the state-certified doctor has delivered a false diagnosis that pushed a marginalized woman to the brink of suicide.
The official systems of truth have failed completely.
Exactly. Now look at the manner in the flashback.
Okay.
The officially recognized medical practitioners, the midwives, have also failed completely. They can only offer death as a solution to the crisis. In both the yamen and the manor, the sane, established rules of society are proving to be lethal.
That is so true.
Therefore, salvation cannot come from within those systems. It requires an outside intervention.
So Jigong is the divine corrective to institutional rot.
Exactly. He has to be a madman. He has to be a trickster who ignores the rules because the rules themselves are the problem.
That makes perfect sense.
A normal doctor couldn't save the mother, so a magical monk must cross the gender threshold. A normal lawyer couldn't save Ming and Chen Liang because the judge is the one trying to murder them.
Right.
Jigong's madness allows him to bypass the corrupted procedures and deliver actual tangible justice and healing.
That structural framing changes everything about how we read this chapter.
Doesn't it?
It isn't a random collection of events. It is a meticulously constructed argument about the failure of earthly authority.
Completely.